When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Hello YouTube and welcome back to the Grease Goblins YouTube channel. In today's video we're going to be continuing our What If series. And in this video we're going to be talking about what if Oberyn had actually never died. So when the trial by combat happens, what if Oberyn had actually beaten the mountain and not died? We're going to pick up after that, see where this theory and fan fiction could go. And yeah, before we get into the video, if you guys would like to subscribe, like, and comment, please do. It helps the channel grow, reach other people that might like this content like you. And let's get into it. So, this theory slash fan fiction is actually kind of hard to predict because we don't know exactly what Oberyn was planning. Now, we know that Oberyn had wanted to kind of make Myrcella the queen like the Sand Snakes had done, or was trying to do with Arianne. Now, would this have continued? Because it's not what Doran wanted, but at this point, you know, Doran was also trying to play very cautious. He didn't have Oberyn there kind of pushing that other side. Now, I think what actually would have ended up happening in this scenario was I think Varys would have informed the Dornish about Aegon. I think he would have done this because I think he definitely sees Oberyn still alive. The Dornish would be, you know, eager with them taking Tyrion back to Dorne because that was what Oberyn would have wanted, and Tyrion was also down for it. That is what would have happened as well. Tyrion would have gone to Dorne. I think instead of crowning Myrcella, I think they actually would have waited till Aegon comes across. Now, the interesting thing again would have been what happens with Aegon. With Aegon going to Meereen to get this relationship with Dany, would this have worked? Because Aegon would definitely not have gone to Westeros because Tyrion's the one that gives him that advice. So I think Aegon would have ended up going with the Golden Company to Dany. Now, let me know what you guys think. I personally don't think Dany would have married Aegon. I think, you know, at this point, she already would have been married. I don't think she would have married Aegon at this point just because she still likes Dario, and I think her just seeing this Golden Company army would not have been enough to get Dany to marry him. Because we saw this with Quentyn already. Quentyn was offering the Dornish alliance and was offering the power of Dorne, and she refused. So I think it would have been something similar to that. Now, what does Aegon do with this information? Because Aegon's at this point is actually the rightful ruler in his mind. Does he just leave and come with the Golden Company, and maybe advised by Varys, he decides to, you know, come up with the Dornish, and then they go forward like that. They do something like this. Now, this is what I think would happen. Is either Aegon would be married to Myrcella. Now, I think this is a good plan because they could easily go with, hey, Myrcella is older than Tommen, and therefore would make Myrcella the rightful ruler if you don't want to go for Aegon being the rightful ruler. You have a good opportunity there. The Dornish should be pulling all the strings with Myrcella. Or they can just do something like Arianne marries Aegon, or something that we might see in the books, and that would also unify Dorne with Aegon. So I think either way, I think Aegon is going to be the most likely choice for them because Quentyn would not be the person Dany was going to marry anyway at this point. And it makes more sense for the Dornish as well. Tyrion as well probably would be on board with this if Myrcella is placed as the person that marries Aegon. As well as Dany at this point is still worrying about a lot of things going on in Meereen and Slaver's Bay, which rightly so. She wants to get rid of the slaves and stuff like that, which is a good cause and all that. Yeah, but I think the Dornish would have seen, and especially with Oberyn pushing it, still being alive, I think they go with Aegon. I think the Golden Company, Aegon, the Dornish, I think they all invade. Now, what is going to be interesting in this idea is you kind of have to pick a side. Do you think Tywin was poisoned by Oberyn? Or do you think that Tywin was just having a bad day with the bowels? Because it definitely changes where this goes. Because if he was poisoned, Tywin's out of this. He's dead. He's out of this fray. And I think the Lannisters and the Tyrells lose easily. But if he wasn't poisoned, like, I kind of like to think that he wasn't poisoned because I think it takes away a little bit from Tyrion's character thinking that he was already going to die anyway, and Tyrion kind of didn't really need to do that, but he did anyway. I don't really like that idea. Maybe it is. Let me know what you guys think. I think there's a lot of good evidence to suggest that he could have been poisoned. Nothing concrete. I just think, you know, the smell as we see in the chapters after he dies, as well as kind of the situation he is in when Tyrion does kill him, makes it to where, yes, I could definitely see it. Would Oberyn have poisoned him kind of like that? I don't think it was a satisfying thing for Oberyn, and I don't think it was really Oberyn what he would have wanted to do, and I don't know if it was the right vengeance for Elia that he wanted. So I'm going to go with he didn't poison Tywin. So in this situation, Tywin's still alive, which means Tywin would have actually kept the Tyrell alliance pretty happy, and I think Tommen would have been happily married. Cersei, I think one of two things happens with Cersei. She either gets shipped back to Casterly Rock, or two, I think she could have possibly also been married off. I don't know if that one would have happened because of how against it Cersei was, and I don't know. I don't think that really would have gone well in general for anybody involved. But Tywin could have forced it maybe, and I think bad things would have happened out of that. But with this being said, though, you also have a lot to think about. Euron's still going to invade. The Riverlands are still very much in open rebellion, right? Against the Freys. It's not as simple as the Lannisters and Tyrells against this Golden Company, Dornish, type fight. As well as you still have Stannis, who is still up in the north commanding, his troops, as well as the north having their own shit going on. It's not as simple as that. This kingdom is still very much kind of being impacted by a lot of different forces. Could Tywin have pulled off another victory? He definitely could have. With the Tyrells still being happy, with the Lannisters still commanding a very big force, what could have happened here is what we see with Jaime, how he's able to make peace with a lot of these Riverlands, lords and stuff like that. I think we could have seen Jaime do that. He takes the Lannister army, he finishes all that stuff. And then what we also could have seen is the Tyrell forces kind of just holding off the Dornish. Not really needing to win, but just buying Tywin time to deal with all of these other issues like Euron and the Riverlands and all that stuff. So I think in the end, I actually think Tywin would have been able to pull off this victory. I know Tyrion knows a lot about his family, his tactics and stuff like that, but I don't know. Even with Oberyn as well, I think Tywin he would have more forces, more resources, better equipped. He'd be the defender in this situation. I think Tywin would be able to win. Varys also would be trying to stew up chaos, but I just think that Tywin would win this situation. He's the best military probably mind available at this point, as well as the best player of the game. He might even be able to bring in the Vale. Who knows what Littlefinger's doing there? Maybe he could pull him back in. Not sure on that one. In the long run, I think the only big impact this would have would be on Daenerys. She would not have Tyrion as an advisor. The Dornish would definitely be against her, kind of how they're going to be in the books as well. But I don't think anything major in that category, but again, maybe. Also, Jorah probably would never go back to Dany, probably never see her again, so that happens as well. But in the long run, I think Tywin would be able to deal with these scenarios, put them down, and be able to rule for a short instance before Dany comes over. So basically, anybody in Aegon's side or the Dornish side, dead. They're gone. The River Lords, I think, are restored to the Freys. I think the North depends how that plays out and wins. If Stannis wins, then I think maybe Stannis controls it at this point, but I don't think it would go any further. Right? Because at this point, there's no way Stannis is going to win the throne with the combined forces of the Tyrells as well as the Lannisters. So I think what we're going to see is actually another situation where I keep going back into it in these what ifs, is that the others probably are going to win. Because the problem with this theory is that, or this fan fiction in general, with a lot of these ones we do, is that the kingdoms aren't going to be united, right? Because Dany's going to come over right when Tywin, puts down this first rebellion. Dany's going to come through, probably is going to beat Tywin. I just don't think there's a way of stopping 3 fully grown dragons, as well as the massive forces that she's going to command at this point. I think the North would definitely fall in this situation. I think the others would end up winning. Dany would really have no knowledge of how to fight the others, because I think the most people that would be dead at this point from fighting them up in the North. So in the long run, again, the others come out on top on this, or at least get what they want. We still don't know what they want. I think it's more kind of like they just want maybe land and to be able to reproduce and stuff like that. But who knows? So let me know what you guys think. If I missed something that you guys think I should have talked about in this video with Oberyn kind of surviving in this big old thing. Also, I didn't talk about the mountain also dies, so that's something. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye, guys.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.